And this is another session of Two Fish and Five Loaves, where we have conversations of faith and where we listen to each other and we talk about it. And hopefully, people are encouraged by what's being said. Now, I'm going to bring to you a great couple, godly couple, and they have a lot to say. That's why they're on here today. And I want to bring in the Boykins, my brother Brian and his wife Yolanda. How are you doing today?
Hello, everybody.
Doing well, thank you.
Doing
How are
well.
you?
Oh, it is good. It is good to see you. I really thank you for saying you want to be a part of this because it is great to interview people of faith.
Yes. Well, thank you for having us.
Uh, um, and you know, I think what I want to do first of all is have you talk about each other first. That may be a better starting point.
Okay, go ahead, Brian.
Why do you want me to start? No, I'm not starting.
Yeah,
It would probably be better for Yolanda to talk about Brian and Brian to talk about Yolanda.
okay.
Yeah, give me some ideas. Thanks. All right.
Well, what can I say? This is Brian Keith Boykin is my husband of almost 9 years now.
Nine
We
plus nine.
9 plus 9. We actually what do you call it, reconciled unto one another, and we'll get into that later. But um, he's a good man of God, and he's a great teacher. I must say, he's a great teacher. Um, Sometimes I think the books get more attention than I do, but that's okay. It's the Bible. I won't fight for it, you know. And he's a good leader. Leads the men's ministry at church and other things in the way he pour into other men and other people. And he's a good husband. He's a good husband. He's a good friend. He very simple. He's just no frills, no nothing. He's just very, unlike me, who's a little bit of extroverty. He's more introverty. So it kind of evens out a little there. But he's one thing I must say is that he's very supportive. Whatever harebrained idea I come up with, if I'm sitting down staring into space, he'll look at me and say, "What are you thinking about now, dear?" And I'm like, "Oh, I was just thinking." And I run it past him. Okay, what you want me to do? So he's supportive of my ideas, and we just work well together.
Good. Now, my brother.
Okay. Yes, this is my wife, Yolanda Boykin. Yes, her last name is Boykin because that's my last name. That means she's married to me. So let's get that straight. I love how my wife comes up with what we're just talking about ideas. It'll just pow. It comes to her and say, you know what? I think we should do this, or I think this will be good. And why don't we go here? And why don't we go there? For me, it might take me a couple of weeks to figure it out. Maybe I should do this, and then at the last minute. But she comes up right with it right then and there, and it's good to have an extroverted wife because I tell people there are times, and it's good to be an introvert and to think things through. But there are times when you need to be quick on the draw and come up with something instead of sitting there and say, okay, let's think this over, let's plan this out. There are times when you have to get on the ball and get moving. And I love that about my wife. I wish I had more of that, but that's why I have her because so she can do it.
Very, very good.
I'm thankful, and I also thank God for her administrative side because that's an area where I need help all the time, and she would come to me and say, okay, say this, no, write this, do it like that, turn this around, no, turn that back. No, no, you shouldn't have said it like that. You should have consulted me first.
Well, I hear a lot of that too, brother. You're not the Lone Ranger. I hear a lot of that.
Yeah. So I try to watch her when she what she does administratively, because she has that in her, and the heart for the people is amazing. Come upstairs from the basement, she has these games. These boys are out here doing nothing. Won't you give them these games for them to do to keep them out of trouble, or something? Vacation Bible school in the neighborhood. I wouldn't have thought of that. I would have just been in the house on my own. And it's things like that. And watching her become, or how she would interact with the neighbors and be neighborly with them, that's more than what I can do. So I I take it from her from when she does that, and she's a beautiful woman. I did. Let me tell you, she is beautiful, but I do question her taste in men.
Oh, well, my brother, you said she fills in the gaps and you fill in her gaps. So I can see that you both work well together. And in my case, I'm the extrovert. I'm the guy that go out there hollering and screaming on the train. And my wife is back there, come on, fool, sit down. So I can understand that you work well together. And what I do want to discuss is I want to discuss your ministries, not your ministry, but your ministries. And what's at the core of your ministries, your focus?
For all the ministries, it all comes down to the Great Commission to go and make disciples. That's what it's all about. Whether it's the men's ministry, next gen, women's your single mother,
moms.
single mothers ministry. It's all the same. It's to go and make disciples that make disciples who make disciples.
And to encourage,
Mm-hmm.
and to give people hope. With the marriage, with divorce being something that's given out like it's candy, like it's just you go into a marriage thinking about your divorce. you know we want to be able to encourage people to say that there is hope in marriage. You can be married like our grandmothers and grandfathers 50, 60, 70 years. You're going to have problems. It's not easy, but it's worth it. It's worth it. And whether or not you are divorced, you can be reconciled unto one another, but it's just a matter of you opening your heart to hear what God has planned for your marriage and being willing to accept his plan, not yours. And for the single moms, and that's dear to my heart, is because I was a single mom. I was a teen mom and I was a single mom. And my son is now 40 years old, and it was difficult. My mom helped me, but it was difficult being a single mom because you really didn't have anybody to talk to about how you really felt, and you felt hopeless. Like everybody's looking at me, I'm a statistic. I got to do this right because if I do this wrong, they're gonna be like, what I tell So always thinking about doing the right thing because of what other people will say, and then not having no one to talk to, and then having no hope. I didn't want other moms to have to feel that, and I wanted to be able to encourage them and important to them and tell them that you are worthy. Yeah, we all do things that we fall off, but you don't stay there. You get right back up. You do what you have to do. You take care of yourself and your child or children, but at the same time, surround yourself with people that are going to pour into you. They're going to encourage you, and it's not going to beat you down for the mistakes. I'm not even going to say mistakes for the things that you've done in your life, because we've all done some, and thank God for John 3:16. So we all fall under that.
Yeah,
I agree. It's always good to have someone who holds you accountable, because if not, you're going to find yourself falling off or drifting, just to have that person say, "Hey, come back. Let's go down the right path, not the path that you're starting to drift towards." And
it's okay.
And just know that I'm with you as well.
Okay. My next
and the men's ministry, It's again, it's the same. It's still about disciples making disciples, but at the same time, we still talk about stewardship, being able to or using a resource that God has given us to run the household, and that's what stewardship is about. Running a household. We think stewardship is about finances. That's only part of it. Actually, if you read carefully, financially, that's the least important, but the most important is spiritual capital. That's the most important when it comes to, yeah, she already told me don't start preaching, don't start teaching, because I can rattle it off in a second. I don't say much, but when it comes to stuff like this, I can't I can't shut up.
That's fine. That's fine.
And again, and also for our next gen ministry, it's the same. Leadership development and making disciples.
Now, my next question was, do you feel that it is your zeal for ministry that brought you together, or was ministry birthed out of the
We're having issues with the speaker.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel that ministry has brought you together, or do you feel that your zeal for ministry was birthed out of your relationship?
I think God reconciled us back together to be a witness to marriage and to reconciliation and to encourage others.
Yeah.
To see what God can do, and that it is not over yet. You know, as far as our individual ministries that we do, the men's and the next gen and the women, I think I said earlier, it came out of how I felt, and I didn't want anyone else to feel that way. And I know that I can't avoid them feeling that way, but I just to let them know that they're not by themselves and that someone is there for them. So that was something that was birthed out of I guess, experience, and I guess the same thing with the marriage. God used our downfall in our marriage, to, like I said, be a witness,
Yeah, it's a testimony.
Yeah, it's testimony. That's the word I'm looking for.
Definitely a testimony to what God can do. Here is a marriage that died, but look at what happens after some years. It's been resurrected and it's back to life again, and not just back to life. It's been restored, and that's how we see it. Okay, I got to stop because I'm about to start again. I have to start teaching again.
But no, that came together. Like I said, I think all of it came together before and during. It increased as we were married, and my favorite scripture is Jeremiah 20:11. For I know the plans I have for you.
Right.
God knew the plans He had for us. Okay. During the entire time, we never married anyone else. I was asked, but then they showed the true colors. God revealed the true colors to me. So I never even walked down the aisle 2 times. So during that time, God, He said, no, I have this path for you. You just don't know it yet. And I can remember during the time of the 18 years, I would call Brian every once in a while. Hey, how you doing? And I'm saying to myself, why hasn't he come back to get me? So my desire was for him. He didn't know it, but God knew it. God, He fulfilled it.
That's a wonderful testimony. And one of the things that sparked in my head when you were saying about how it didn't work out the first time because he was not a man of God. He wasn't saved. And I know that many times women will say, I'm going to marry him and change him. I'm going to make him into what he's supposed to be. A lot of women marry somebody with that intention. What would you two say that you two experienced married people say to something like that?
Well, that wasn't the case. He tricked me. when you were in the military, he would come home to visit me, and he would go to church with me right on the Christ Center. He would go to church with me and everything. Once we got married, I found out he was an atheist. So he tricked me.
I like to hear Pastor Stevens preach. He was funny.
But I didn't know he was a non-believer until after we were married. And I was like, what? And my walk was not the way it is now. I mean, I've gone to Christ Center since I was 9 years old. I've gone there, but my walk was totally different. And so I wasn't sanctified, holy, things like that. But I was shocked, So it is just it's funny because, like you said, usually the woman said that she gonna change him, and then I was already married, so I was like, oh, okay, what do I do with that?
Oh, so you deceived your brother.
Who? Where? What? Me? Moi? Never. We wouldn't do anything like that. And it's amazing because I have my brother. He's already ordained and licensed and everything, and he would talk church and talk Christian, and I didn't want to hear that mess. I didn't want to hear it. I mean, that's how I thought then. But even now when he doesn't speak that stuff, I still think what he says is mess. But that's okay. That's something different.
They have a rivalry.
Yeah.
But it's funny how God worked both of us individually in that state of divorce, and we come to find out after we were married this time that we both got baptized the same year, probably about a month or so apart.
Okay.
At that time, my relationship grew with Christ. I started understanding more about what it is about how he feels about me. I was always wanting to please and, want to worry about people say, but I found out he was the only one that was important. And at the same time, he was convicting him as well. So we were simultaneously being convicted at the same time and did not know it.
Okay.
So that's why I said the plans he had for us, we had no idea.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. And I ran away from a relationship too. They tried the deacon at my former church tried to hook me up with his sister-in-law. I mean, I never saw anyone be so diligent about it. And I ran away. I just wasn't ready. I'm sorry, I wasn't ready. I ran away from that one.
But the Yolanda was right that God had in mind. No man could open those doors that He had shut. So that is a great story, and that is a great testimony, particularly to people that get divorced or get married. That there's something that they should hear. I know that there's many times where people they believe in like no fault divorces, where they just as soon as somebody looks at them the wrong way, yep, it's over, I'm gone. But there is something to there to stick to it and to benefits.
Yes, but you have to realize your fault in your marriage or your actions in your marriage, and that's when God started working on me. And in our divorce, I wrote him a 5 or 6 page letter, letting him know, okay, this was my part in this marriage. This is why this marriage did not work, because not because you, but because I. And I had to. That's something that I had to come to terms with myself and with God, and to be honest with Him, that it wasn't just you, as I was saying, oh, you didn't do either. Reality was, it was I.
That's rare. That's rare. Did you write her a letter saying what your fault was?
No, she wrote me a letter saying what my faults were too. No, because I wasn't concerned with that. My thinking was, it's over. Okay, time to move on. That's how I felt.
But let me ask you a quick question. Which one of you had the idea that it was over first, or did you both come to that understanding at the same time?
She called me one day. We were separated, and she called me and because I hadn't spoken to her. I don't know how many weeks it was. I just said forget it, and she said, "Well, I can. I don't. I'm paraphrasing. I know now that it's not going to work. It's not. So let's just go ahead and file for divorce." Yeah.
Yeah, and then down south, we were down south, so you have to be separated, legally separated for a year, and then everything goes into divorce. And they came close to that time, and and people be careful who are pouring stuff into your ear, because people were telling me, "Oh, girl, you can do somebody better than that." They were telling me stuff like that. They weren't encouraging me. And that's why I think when I made that phone call to him, like, listen, you not, I expected him to make all the moves and me make none. And they were telling me, you the prize, you this and this and that, you this and that. And I'm listening to that. And then that's when I made that phone call. So you got to be very careful of who's giving you advice. If they're not giving you godly wisdom, you need to run.
Yeah, and then after a while, when let's see, we had to pay a certain amount of for the divorce, and I gave the money. I think I gave it to you, and there weren't any papers coming through. So this was now I got bold and I lifted up. I picked up the phone and I asked, "Okay, what's going on? Well, we supposed to be divorced. What happened?" That was real bold. I couldn't call her and ask her, "How you doing? How's everything?" Only thing that was in my mind was, "We supposed to be divorced already. What's going on?"
But it was really final. It was really final.
Wow.
For me, it was a little bit glimmer of hope, but for him, it was final.
Okay.
I told you, she's a beautiful woman, but I question her taste in men. Telling you.
Well, and this wasn't a question, but what made you get back together?
You tell the story, dear.
Rice.
Tell the story. Go ahead and tell it.
Rice. Okay. Long story short, he called me on the phone and I saw his name come up and I was like, oh my God, he's gone, because he never calls me. I always call him. So, and I said, hello. He was like, yeah, I want to know, do you know how to use a rice cooker? Now, being as though my relationship with God has very increased, and I don't want to lie. So I pulled up Google how to use a rice cooker while I had him on the phone. I put him on speaker. I said, sure, I know how to use it. All you have to do is, and I'm reading. Didn't want to lie, so I'm reading. And so I asked him, I said, what do you need it for? And he told me he was having church members over to the house. And I said, okay, fine. And me being an entertainer, I have everything. So, I have all kinds of party stuff. So I asked him, did he have a setup? He said, no. I offered to come set him up for his party. And then at the time he offered for me to come join them. I was doing something for our church, for the seniors, that same night. And I said, I'll see. Good old Mother Bird, Sister
Beverly Adams.
Beverly Adams.
Bishop Beverly.
It was her. It was her, because I was working with her, setting up for the seniors for the next day, and I got tired. I said, well, I'm not going. I'm tired. She said, you better go in there, put that red lippage on, and get over there. And I was like, yes, ma'am. So, and when I came over, they were finishing up, and that was it. We were on the phone every day, and we just took off.
Brother Owens, let me add to that story about being on the phone. It was like this. Well, I am a Christian woman and I am single. I'm not dating. I'm not seeing anybody.
She gave you the resume.
So what's up?
I sent the picture.
So you tell me, what's up?
So she made it clear to you.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because he was slow. All them years, I'm calling you, and I'm like, okay.
I wasn't slow.
No, I had to just be blunt.
I knew exactly what I was doing. And then again, from that, it was we're married again, and going back to Hershey, going there to the weekend to remember, catching that fever, that bug to help other marriages, especially after what we had just gone through. And we give the volunteers who we with our story, and they love it. They love to hear that story. And we just had a weekend to remember again this November. And there's one brother, he's calling me over. He said, "Yo, man, yo, tell everybody what happened, man. Tell me a story. Tell me a story. Tell I can't tell everyone that's in here, but it was quite a few of them that heard our story of reconciliation, and we were so touched by that from what we got from the weekend to remember that we just wanted to give back. I guess you say it like that, give back to others because they're and we see it on the weekend to remember. There are marriages that are struggling. I
Mhm.
mean, they are on the brink. We're on the brink.
To have a wife fall into my arms crying.
Mm.
I'm at the alleyway and she just comes running, falling into my arms crying. I'm about to cry again. I mean, just in need of prayer for her husband, for herself, and and I'm asking God to give me the right words to say because I don't know
Mhm.
her because she just
Mhm.
fell into my arms crying. So just to be able to do something like that and to be there for somebody, it's a great feeling, and I just thank God for the journey that we have to go through in order to get to this point. And I'm looking forward to more of the journey, him pouring into us and us learning lessons from the things that we've done. It's easy when I want to tell people that it's easy when you have a testimony and you've lived it. It's easy to take that testimony for granted. You
Mm.
don't think about what you've gone through. You don't think of it as something, just because you've lived it, it's like, okay. But when people come to you, like you said, and say, tell your story. And I was like, what? We just was reconciled.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it and I said, y'all have to forgive me. I took our story for granted because there is a story there that's meant to be heard for others to be encouraged.
Mm.
And I had to really repent and say, God, please forgive me for not, you know, um, it's like seeing a miracle and then not believing that he's still Jesus. You know, you performed a miracle and I'm acting like it was nothing,
Mm.
so remember when you have your journeys and you have your testimonies, don't take it for granted and don't diminish it because it was all God.
Mhm. Hmm. That is excellent. Um, what do you both feel? You can answer
Hold
this
on,
differently.
we gotta
I have this old computer.
fix this speaker.
Okay.
What do you both feel? And you can answer this differently because you may feel differently. Is your greatest ministry success?
Greatest ministry success. Let's see. I now I'm looking at next gen. I'm going to look at that one first. I think the greatest success in there is to have the brothers and sisters that are part of it now to move away from believing that discipleship was all about putting on events and hoping that others will come to Christ. But now they realize that what the Great Commission is to go and make disciples, or as you go, make disciples. They finally got that in within them, and they believe that, and it goes further than just making disciples and also developing leaders at the same time. So the making disciples and developing leaders, that I believe that's a success because we can make it easy. It's okay, let's just put on a play and bring people to church and not actually go out. That's I put it like that. That was a great success too. That see them mobilize so they can go out into the community and preach the gospel to them.
Mm. Do you have one, Yolanda?
He's talking to you, dear.
For my single moms ministry, I feel as though my greatest success is when I still have a relationship with some of the moms years later. They still call me, and my opinion and my God, they just seek godly wisdom from me, years later. And I'm seeing pictures as their babies are growing, you know, and they're seeing that they're not by themselves, but they can still call on me. And I lead them like, you can call them, let's go to the Bible, you know, but it, I, I think that they've opened up. They weren't open people, because they're in homes, in the group homes with their children, meaning they had no one else. So for me to be able to come to them and have them allow me into their space, you know, and all due to my total transparency to them, that I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes, and to develop that relationship with them, that even years later, I'm still in contact with maybe two or three of them, and I'm seeing the babies grow, and they're still calling me. What do you think? So I think that is a great, what is it? What's the question? Win or whatever.
Success.
Yes.
I
And
got. I'm sorry. I got a notice that the thing is getting ready to shut down about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I see.
But
Yeah, we see it.
listening to both of you, I would tell you that your greatest ministry success, marriage is a ministry. That's your greatest
yes,
success that I've observed from
yes.
both of you. So before we get off, I do want you both to give an opportunity to speak to somebody out there, to 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 encourage somebody about marriage, about whatever God has placed on your heart. I want to give you that opportunity right now.
We have a small group discussion coming up in January. It's called Your Marriage Has a Mission. It's going to be starting at the end of January because yes, we do all things, we do things as a marriage, but at the same time, our marriages can be used and to help disciple others to also have godly marriages the when they see the light of God shining through a marriage. So so what I have to say to others is you have a marriage and we do everything for the glory of God. So what better way than to help other marriages as well so they can also be equipped to help other marriages or like we say, be disciples who make disciples.
And my thing I would like to say is marriage is a wonderful thing. Okay, it's a wonderful thing, but you can't go into it lightly. You can't go into it thinking you're going to change one another. Okay, and when you go into it and you're thinking about going to it, seek godly wisdom before you do anything. Okay, not only for your marriage, for you as a couple, but also for you as an individual. Because you say you think you love this person. We had the opportunity to mentor someone and come to find out we decided they weren't ready for marriage.
Mm.
They didn't like it. They no longer wanted to be mentored by us.
Mm.
But this is where you have to have an open heart and open mind that you have to work before the work begins. Before the marriage begins, you have to work. Mm-hmm. So listen to wise counsel, seek wise counsel, godly wisdom, okay? And always seek God first in all that you do. And even when you feel like you're ready to ask this young lady to marry you, Lord, is she the one? Show me. I know how I feel, but that's different. I feel we can lie to it, but seek God first in all that you do. And once you get married, keep him, like our pastor likes to have that triangle. God is right up here. He's right up here. Okay. Up. He's up. And then we're down here. So, okay. So if you keep him at the top of your marriage and everything, even when you're fighting, when you're arguing your disagreement, it's not time to say, oh, we're going to divorce. No, that's when you really run to him. And you call that pastor, you call that couple that you admire who has a godly marriage, and you seek counsel. Okay. So that's what I would like to say and encourage. Don't give up. You're not by yourself. Marriage is a piece of work, but marriage is a wonderful thing.
Oh, and I have one more thing. One thing I learned when I was in the military is say that when you want to get promoted, you start doing the roles and responsibility of the rank that's ahead of you. So they won't have to guess that, oh, should we promote this person? No, this person is ready to be promoted because he or she is doing what the other rank, the higher rank is required to do. And this is the same thing when it comes to marriage. You want to be a man, a husband, you start doing some things as what a husband would do already. And what I like to teach next gen is you live a life of dying and rising. You know, you die to the things of this world, and then you rise above that. So as a godly husband and a godly wife, you start working and doing things just as a husband or a wife would do, but
Not all things.
not everything, not all
The
things.
main thing is seeking wisdom.
Mhm.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
That's mainly it. Not everything.
So so so, so when the two of you get married, there won't be any question. No. What I'm saying is, will there be a question in my head? Is this person really the right one? But you have seen what he or she has done as a godly man and a godly woman who has set God first in their hearts and everything, and not only that is who looks out for your own welfare as well. So you say, okay, I do believe this is the one. He or she has prepared, but that preparation was always seeking God first.
Mm. Well, I have really enjoyed these conversations. I've learned something. Thank you for teaching me, sister. But you both look good together, and I'm glad to
We
hear
look
about
marvelous.
this. Yeah. I remember somebody preached about that one time. But yeah, but you do, and I am glad to know both of you. Um, God bless you. And this will be the end of this session of Two Fish and Five Loaves. We hope that you tune in next time. God bless you. Have a great day.
Thank you.